Okay, this is the beginner's guide, and I don't know anything about this game except that it has nothing to do with the Stanley Parable. That's all I know. And apparently it's pretty short. Apparently we should be able to do this in one stream. Um, and there's a chapter select. Interesting. Uh-oh. I think the game's trolling me. It looks like it's... my mouse was loading. Hang on. I think you need to be able to see my mouse. You probably couldn't see it. I usually have that turned off. Okay. Do I consider myself a beginner? I mean, we're all beginners to many things, and you know, you have to start somewhere. You're a beginner with anything until you're not, you know. You like closed caption. The two options are none or full captioned. Double buffered. Triple buffered. I've never seen VSync have this extra type of option. Right, that's probably fine. Alright, let's get into this. Oh yes, the audio is on. Controls, alright, pretty basic mouse and keyboard situation.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011.
Okay.
We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda.
That sounds
these
familiar.
games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make.
You as well.
So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator.
I don't see any blobs.
It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Okay. First actual game by Coda, the mastermind. We could barely fit through this doorway here. Look how short this is. Whisper Machine.
Whisper machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Not the Whisper Machine, anything but that. I mean, this is probably in my top 10 FPS games so far.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin shield activation.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Well. I don't think it's an autobiography necessarily, because he's talking about his friends'
has a
games.
labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
What? I want to go through it.
Or, if you'd really like to solve the labyrinth, you're welcome to do that too.
I think I solved it. Well, now I need to kind of figure out where we started. Okay, I think we came in this way. Funny is how he said, I don't know why this is in here, but it's like clearly you're kind of in this intense situation where you're trying to escape a space station. I think it makes perfect sense why there's a labyrinth there.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the Whisper Machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the Whisper Machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
I mean, we came here, gotta finish where we started.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Uh-oh. Oh no. Whoa.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Alright. Let's see here. We're in a brick room. I can't move. The past was behind her.
Yep.
Oh, you
in
can
this
only
game,
move backwards.
You can only walk backwards.
What the heck? Oh, that's terrifying. Okay. I want to keep turning around so I can see where I'm going.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist
Oh.
experiment combining motion and narrative.
But the future could not be
It is less
seen.
advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more
Why does
complete.
the future keep
Code is trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
When she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. But if the future is always behind her, how will she find this? To confront it.
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
That was an interesting concept. Same month, new game. The Dark Zone. You are now entering. Oh.
And that's it.
Okay.
The meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
Okay.
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
Nonsense in nearly every direction.
I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
I'm slowing down, I think.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
What if we went up the long way? I wonder if it would have been any different. Stand on an X staring at a bear for 3 hours. Your body's selling your own organs. What? It's just a bunch of game concepts.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games. Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Wow. Huh. Ready, set, fish. That looked like a place where you'd be doing much fishing.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle.
This?
Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Oh. Oh. Solve it?
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
Well, now I'm stuck in here.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. All right, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Okay. Oh.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Huh. Oh, here it is again. We're now exiting.
Aha. So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
The Great and Lovely Descent.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
The Streetwise Fool. It's a full name for
To
a
make all of
cafe or
these
whatever
games,
this is.
Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Oh. Okay, it wasn't in this pit. Like a prison or something. What the heck?
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
Yeah, I don't mind.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
Gotcha. Glass. Keeps going.
it's the puzzle again,
Oh, yeah.
with the exact same solution as the last time. There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But
I mean, it's a neat
promise
idea.
I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Maybe that you have to commit to moving on to the next part, because when you do it, you can't go back. This thing. Come from up above, what was
Here,
up
Coda
there?
begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's
Oh.
chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
There were these floating colored blocks. What's very brat? That's the world above, you've been there. No, this is important. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? Yes, I did. Perfect. Now please tell us how you solved it. Tell us the solution. Tell us how to get to the other side. Trust me, you don't want to go over there. Oh no, but I do, we do. We need to get there. Do you understand it's the most important thing in the world? We have to escape this prison. There must be an ending. I promise you, there's nothing I want more. Oh. How'd you get here? Was there a puzzle you had to pass through? Yes. We actually find the black space between the doors would be more interesting. Have you seen it yet? Don't think too hard about it. You'll see it again soon. Huh. Black space between the door.
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
This is definitely the most involved game so far. It's a weird, like, it looks like an outside area,
It's
but
a
it's
lamppost.
inside still.
Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here
Isn't
on
that
out.
in the game's
I'll tell you what I think.
cover art?
I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Alright. What's next? This game is connected to the internet. As you walk around, you can leave notes. All notes you see are left by other players. What is this, Dark Souls? Nice room, not.
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this,
How do you
but
beat
this
this
game is
game?
not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're gonna see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever
No
played.
point to
This
this.
was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs
Balls.
and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
I just saw a flying
But it's
penguin. Let
ironic,
me tell
isn't
you, it
it,
was the most
that
majestic
in
thing I've
playing
ever
this
seen. I
game
don't feel
and
like
seeing how
living because
alone
nothing
Coda
will ever be
often
as
felt,
majestic as that.
that we get to know
I never
him
want to
better
see it again.
and
If
actually
nothing will
kinda
be that
connect with
beautiful
him.
again. I'm crying now. I plan on
And I have
ripping
to
my
be
eyes
honest
out. Let's
with you,
go.
this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
A lot of notes over there that look inaccessible. Oh, if I jump down there, maybe. Oh, wait. How do I leave a note? Boring. Can assure you, guaranteed that there's an acorn somewhere here in this place, and the sailors are looking for it. There's nothing here, go back. Don't listen to that guy. This really is the Dark Souls experience. A free t-shirt. Need other side door, why you so? Makes game includes door cannot open door, thanks. Open sesame. Door how open. Whoa. New room. So many notes. This is where I get off. A game where you leave notes and suddenly everyone's a poet. Stop, turn back, proceeding further will only result in misery. Take my hand, let's jump together. Thelma and Louise. Cabbage shapes our nation. What is that painting? Looks like a dot painting. Doesn't matter if you ever get over there. They don't talk about me that way. Very good game. I think this is not going anywhere. Next time I will do better. I need someone to talk to. This is a note? Don't listen to the other notes. I'm not safe. Today I learned you cannot fall off. Ethical. You can't? Oh, you can't. Saw a person walking down there now, it won't come back. Well done, all of you. Painting, what does it mean? Whoever made this has issues. Stop faking it. Art. Hey guys, how's it going? Just hanging. Help, I'm trying to speak. I think it's about things look messy from up close and perfect from far away. Did it look like something from far away? From up here it just looks kind of like dots. I mean, that's how it looked like for me from far away as well. I mean, it did look cool. Cabbage shapes our nation. Spoilers, it doesn't mean anything. Stop pretending you're other people. We will all die someday. Who are all of you? About how this game's pretentious and you all suck. Devil Tower Star. Walter would just say, rough. That's what his note would say. Devil Tower Star. We all feel real someday. He was himself the most horrible creature he could imagine. Well, I'm here now. Yeah, we're all here now. There must be a reason for it, though. His terrible secret, he kept it well. I beat the game. What'd you... You hiding from Mr. I beat... More room?
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
I hear whispering.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
Really? These guys...
And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
That noise. How do you leave notes? Good question. Typewriters. And the lamppost again. Hey there, please say something. It can be anything. I just need you to say something. Talk to me, please. Why are you having so much difficulty talking? Speak, speak, speak.
Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
There's a well. There. This is the yellow house. That same painting.
See, like, this
we're
is
in the well.
The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has
Well,
all
we're
of this
in the
modern
well that we
furniture.
saw outside.
And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
But French try to go to the center of the room. The giant hole in the ground. Hey, that's not what that is. Each picture very small. And stoves. These options. This is an illusion of choice. Whoa.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake. So, okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
I wasn't in prison. I was getting out. Hello, please walk forward. This guide will enable you to escape any prison environment. Follow the instruction carefully. Take care that you remember each step. First, click on this table. Photo frame and click. Turn it slightly. Turn the floor lamp in this room off and turn it back on. Go on the left side sofa, move it over a little. Touch the shelves. That's it. In a real prison, the escape will now open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. Now we know how to escape any prison. That's useful information.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape.
Right there.
Here's a version where
Wrong
there are no
table.
bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
Is it really a prison game if there's no prison? It's me. I'm you from after you escape the prison. You're me. So you're trapped in this prison too?
It's a conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
Oh yeah, Snake. It's interesting for sure. This is a curious narrative. Don't worry, it's actually not a bad thing, I promise. What did you get a call from another version of you when you were trapped? Be sincere. It will make sense.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay.
But they say don't even
Wouldn't that
trust
be nice?
yourself.
So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
Ooh, interesting. Let's see.
To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the two doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Oh no, someone spilled a drink on that table. Or ink. Perhaps an ink drink. My goodness, I'm glad as all heck you showed up. Thought I might have to clean the entire house by myself, and right miserable that would have been. Everyone knows lonesome hands make lousy homes.
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
Run to the bedroom and make the bed. Where's the bedroom? Oops. Tidy the couch. Spilled ink. Alright, cheesy thought. No, it was stupid, sorry, never mind. Hey, these dishes need to be washed, why don't you come? Tub needs clean. Place is pretty clean now.
After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful. liked this game. Of all of
Oh,
his
we did
work,
that
actually,
already.
this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
One's house is a lot like one's soul. You take care of it and it takes care of you. Don't know why I felt so weird about saying that. Dishes. Now how do those books get messed up again?
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace.
Question.
But
Do you
of
enjoy
course,
this?
it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
They like a lamp post.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I really thought that was the point of it.
I can't believe that that's the point of it. I can't believe. Items you love at members
This
only
one
prices.
gets a bit goofy.
Why did you come here today? A lecture? Improve your life? Get a better job? Make your relationships more meaningful? No. You came here to be perfect. Where's the Carly Dog episode? This workshop is going to teach you how to be perfect. I want your friends, the people in your life, to look at you and think, wow, this person is a better human being than I am. Right now, who do you think about that way in your own life? Who do you know that's so well developed as a person that they make you feel disgusted with yourself, compared to whom you feel useless, selfish, ungrateful? I intend to make you into that person. Perfection is within your grasp, and the question is not how we do it, but how do we do it effortlessly. This is easy. This is
About
so
halfway
easy.
through
It's
the
so
game,
easy.
the perspective shifts.
Being perfect is effortless. Whoa, there's a black hole behind us? Oh, now we're the speaker.
And you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
Hey, Double O. Will we get a clipboard? I don't know if that's true. Yeah, what does a lamppost mean? Lamppost. Isn't lampposting a thing? Either way, I'm not sure.
I fell pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human. I think about this game a lot these days.
Hey, we made it to 2010.
This one took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little
Oh, is this like a
strange at the
green
time.
room at a venue? Guess we're gonna go play live music. It's a big stage. Whoa. Performance is beginning. Places, please. In this scene, you'll be playing as me. We are at a gathering of professionals. First, you'll start out leaning against that wall. Good, stay right there. The woman across the room in this chair is a professional photographer of animals. It's her dream to photograph animals professionally. Your one chance to learn something from her, to gain something, to succeed. Say something to her. Hello, that's it? That's not a conversation. Actually converse with her, be a human being, do it again. They're all my hopes and dreams. No, that's not what I said to her at all. You're completely missing the tone of the conversation. I was reserved, but I knew what I wanted. I was confident. For some reason, it was just that one moment, but I was confident. Maybe it's that you need a better feel of the setting. There are a lot of people around us. I'll give you some props to work with. These cones that bounce when you touch them will represent the people nearby. I'm the one bouncing, not the cones. There's some sacrifices you gotta make. You're making it all up again. You're messing it all up again. This seems like a real personal story. Hey, look, it's the lamppost again. I wonder why the lamppost is to the dev. Was it on the corner of their childhood street? Oh no, we're in prison again. What are we gonna do?
The game ends with this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer.
Oh.
But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
Oh. Wow. I thought it was... The last one was the longest. Mobius Trip. To play this game properly, you must keep your eyes closed. What? Does that work? What? They lied. Papa Blind can't see what's going on. Whisper again. Oh, he went back to like that, like the first proper game he ever made. It was like the second. We're gonna crash into whatever the heck that is. Am I gonna be killed by a giant door? Yes. It appears to be the case.
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise. And there is a solution, by the way.
Speak something that is honest. I can't keep making these. That's it, that's the truth.
Like I said, I was getting concerned. First
Feel
off,
like-
he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from?
Keep going, keep
But
talking.
then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way. His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months
I was about to
before he
guess 6
finishes
months.
something new.
December 2010. What a year. Hello, where am I? What is this? Who's breathing? What a person, how lovely. Long time since I talked to anyone. What's wrong? You look lost. The tree? Oh. When I try to create, I feel empty. Oh no. What's happened? Did something change? There was a machine that kept me going and it stopped. But you're looking for a machine? I think I know where it is. It isn't far. You have to take me to it. I can do that, but
If
there's
the
a
last
problem.
game featured Coda talking
by
explicitly about
difficult
his creative
puzzle.
frustrations, this one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for? Because from my perspective at the time and
Oh,
just
this
what I knew
puzzle.
of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on. You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
Hey, that's all. Those are all the options I chose. They're just words on some walls. Trust me, you'll see. You have to say that game development is simple and joyous and that you love it 100% of the time. But it wasn't true. There's more dialogue from the other games.
Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like Video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This is someone I really cared about, and I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me. I don't know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything
Who's that?
for this to stop.
Who
But it
was
didn't
that?
stop. After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
May 2011. The Machine. Okay, that's what we were looking for. Very Kafka-esque already, I don't know why. Man, I'm glad to see you've arrived safely. We've captured the machine, it's waiting for you now. You can begin the interrogation whenever you like. Very good. Just be warned that someone called the press, so we might have a bit of attention on this one. Also, one more thing that you should know about this machine. It calls itself Coda. Yeah. Whoa. Forget the puzzle. Okay, I guess we don't need to do it. Whoa. Will it be punished? Will the machine ever explain itself? Hello? How did you capture this machine? Hey, it's the machine. Stop.
And of course, it's the machine.
Stop. People out there, can you imagine what pain you put them through? It was only because of your creations that NES can make through every day. How could we possibly go back trusting you? Been so long. Apologize for leaving me. Seen the thing you fear. I will apologize to the people on your behalf. Oh. My friends. It falls on me to deliver news. I have a troubling revelation. Machine refuses to admit that it deliberately hurt us. We're stronger than... We do not need its games. Let us show it that we are not failures. Uh-oh. Destroy the machine or destroy everything the machine created? It's the stage again. Whoa! Oh, look at that.
So now the work is becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation.
Oh,
And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for him? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work?
oh, we're destroying all of them. Uh-oh.
So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
Where's the lamp? Oh, there it is. Put down your weapon.
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something, I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy. So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made.
The tower.
So let's take a look. And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game. This room actually has a maze in it.
Oh. Ah!
Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible.
Oh, that's
And then
not good.
every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
Is there actually a maze? It seems like it just... Seems like no matter which way you go.
And to be fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze? The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
Yeah, I got one of the numbers right. Not too bad. Sixteen, 15, 16, 17. Interesting. Probably like years, like when he was 15, 16, 17 years old. Or it could be the dates as well, like 2015. Well, no, probably not that, because this was made in 2011. I'm gonna guess it's more of an age thing.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door for you, so let me do that. Was I a failure for not understanding this game? I mean, I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't.
I noticed those 3 dots. Really early on.
I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed. Where did I screw up?
Dear Davey, thank you for your interest in my games. I need to ask you not to
I'm the
speak to me
reason that
anymore.
you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you.
But he blocked it off so that there was no way he could find this message.
I don't
Oh.
think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important.
Wonder
and
at times you
valuable.
rather think I'm making these games for you. It's about all these games that his friend Coda was making. And how he was like his biggest fan, but he never like really published these games anywhere. They were all just kind of like experiments. You've so infected my personal space that it's possible I did begin to plant solutions in my work somewhere hidden between games. If there was an
And
answer, a meaning, would it
the
make you
people
any
who played
happier?
them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, it was... I felt good about myself.
Would you stop taking my games and showing them to
Finally,
people against
for
my
a moment,
wishes?
while I had that, I
Giving
liked
them
myself.
something that is not yours to give, violating the one boundary that keeps me safe. Would you stop changing my games, stop adding lampposts to them? What? He lied, he said Coda was the one who always had the lampposts.
And then
Just
you stopped.
Simply let
And I
them
didn't
be.
have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all.
When I'm around you, I feel
Nothing.
physically ill.
Less than nothing.
You desperately need something and I cannot
does
give it
that
to you. I
mean?
literally do not have it. Struggling to come up with new ideas is not making me depressed. Low points are just a part of the process. The fact that you think I am frustrated or broken says more about you than about me. I realize that this doesn't make sense to you just yet. Which is fine, you're not my problem to solve. But I do hope that one day it clicks and that you make peace with this thing you are wrestling.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
And when you finally see what I'm talking about, don't say anything. So Davey was the real one with the issues, not Coda. I knew it. They did us dirty.
Why I'm releasing this collection of your work is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize,
I know you hated
truly
me
and deeply,
showing people your games, so
will
I
you start
made a
making games
compilation
again?
of your games.
Please, I need to feel okay with myself again.
David, this
I
isn't
always
right.
felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me?
A little.
Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all
walls
I
are
want is to
closing
know
in.
that I'm going to be okay.
I thought I was imagining that at first. Epilogue. Train station?
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
As we're getting on this train. This is a nice train, geez, look at those comfy seats.
Solution.
It's not enough, I need more. Nothing seems to satisfy. I don't want it, I just need it to leave, to breathe, to feel I'm alive.
I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
What is this? Because he didn't say that this was one of Coda's games. I'm curious what this epilogue is exactly.
Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
Sand. Oh. Ceiling is very uncomfortably low.
If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like. What now?
You just have to make your own game, Davey.
I think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
This is just us now. Davey needs to touch grass. Back in the train station. Or maybe no, this is a different place. It looks kind of like the train. Thunder? Oh, is that the laser from the Whisper machine or whatever? I guess we know what we have to do here. Now, is it gonna kill us or are we gonna float? That's the question. Oh, there it goes. Whoa. Holy crap. It's just like an endless maze. I guess we really were in a maze the whole time.
Turn back,
Or are.
turn back from this cave. You said, let
This
me
project would not have been
prove
possible
that
without the following
I'm
individuals.
brave. Let me keep going. But the cave goes for
Turn back.
miles and miles and miles.
Wow.
And you're so tired, but I know that you're strong.
That was interesting. I don't know if there's gonna be anything else after these credits.
Turn back.
No, Sword, I kind of figured that pretty early on, but I wanted to kind of lean into the suspension of disbelief because I kind of understood the idea behind the game. But yeah, that was a pretty cool experience there. I like that that there's a chapter select. You think this whole time that, you know, Coda has these issues and that his friend's trying to like help him, and then you realize at the end that the narrative is more of the person who's having the personal problems that he's trying to like he's kind of the one more, he was like kind of projecting onto Coda kind of a very parasitic relationship with Coda, where like he was kind of trying to vicariously, you know, live and feel alive through him. It's very much a deconstruction of the act of deconstruction and the inherent parasociality of engaging with art. Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting, because it's definitely one of those things where, like, when you're really into, like, certain artists or creators and you kind of get a connection with them, or maybe even, you know, whether to a minor or severe degree, a lot of the times you do form these like one-sided relationships. Yeah, very interesting game. Definitely. And, you know, I like that it kind of had a more specific narrative, like a set narrative, and a very serious tone, compared to like the Stanley Parable, where it's kind of all over the place. You know, cool stuff. But alright, I guess that will be it for tonight. Thank you for joining. That was the beginner's guide. And I hope Davey, you know, figures himself out and, you know, finds fulfillment in his own life. Alright.